What's up, guys? Here with you, FC Wonderkid, episode 169, a very special one that we're going to be touching a lot of big topics. How are you doing, Bretson?
I don't think I'm ready for this. The leagues are starting in earnest. We've got La Liga starting on Thursday. We've got the Eredivisie started this weekend. Pro leagues all set up, but obviously the big ones: La Liga, Premier League, Serie A, Ligue. I mean, come on. I can't get any more excited than I am right now. It makes me want to go out and spend £250 million on 12 players like Chelsea does. That's just the excitement of it all. But also,
million.
Alex.
Oh, my days.
Oh, my gosh. It's insane. But we also had the Olympics come to its conclusion with one of the most thrilling games I've watched in some time, a 5-3 win for Spain. We've had a legend retire. I know you want to talk on that, but I mean, come on. How exciting was that Olympic gold medal final between Spain and France?
Very exciting. Very exciting. I'm going to be more restraining towards my thoughts, saying it's the most exciting game I've watched in a long time, because I watched that Super Cup here in Portugal. That was quite exciting too.
Fair enough.
From 3-0 to 4-3. But no, in terms of the quality of players, the Olympics clearly leveled up with this final. It was phenomenal to see, and even a third place Morocco that was very impressive was Achraf Hakimi and Ilias Akramash that I'm going to be excited to watch next season at Villarreal. But listeners, thank you for commenting in the last podcast, and we want to highlight some people. I see Sky Limits saying consistent as always. You guys help us out here at FC Wonderkid to make that happen. Thank you so much. I want to also highlight Tommy Burich that says expecting 50K. Me and Bretson, we're expecting 50K too real soon. Just figuring out this algorithm. Thank you for commenting. And I've got here Clive Abways that says Bretson is making me feel like my team will finish in relegation without Osimhen. Chelsea fans.
No. That is not my that is not my intent. Hey, the Premier League is Wild West right now, and Chelsea is a cowboy. I mean, they're gunslingers, and they're bringing money to the table. You have plenty. You have a really good 11. I think you guys will be absolutely fine. I'm sour on the transfer policy. That's all.
But you said it, Bretson. I wanted to say in the introduction a thank you to Pep. Pep, the best Portuguese center back, and one of the best center backs I've seen in my life. 41 years old. He retired at the right time. Last Champions League game, he was one of the best center backs on the field against Arsenal. Yeah. So that was bold. And 34 trophies won. If that's an average of 26 games, he wins a trophy. That is mad to have that output. A clear winner and someone that's... He left his mark in the history of Portugal. Por isso, obrigado, Pep. Thank you for giving me this chance, Bretson. And also, if you want to appear in the next podcast, just comment down below a prediction. Just say something that we answer and we can highlight here in the podcast, because this podcast is of the listeners too, people. Okay, people? Yep. So go bold. I love to see it. But... transfer show, and what a week of transfers it was. And if there's a amazing week of transfers, Chelsea seems to always be in it with Todd Boehly. Was I surprised to see Pedro Neto go to Chelsea? Yes. Very surprised. Do I think it's a bad transfer? You're going to say it's Portuguese bias, my answer, but I 100% do not believe that's the case. At the left wing, you can put Pedro Neto and Nkunku, Cole Palmer, and now a striker, if it's Osimhen, be perfect. Chelsea, that's a deadly attack, and you have to be excited with options like Nani Madueke, Mudryk, Sterling on the bench to make the difference. Mad. The depth that Chelsea has right now.
Well, no, and here's the thing, because I don't want to just be negative to be negative about this, right? But we do need to bring up Pedro Neto's past, right? Injuries. And his past recently is a whole lot of injuries, and I think we're looking at a situation where he's only averaged 15 league starts per season at Wolves, and he was at Wolves for 6 seasons, Alex. For Wolves at 6 seasons. Like, this is a big deal, and yet Chelsea still sent 60 million plus over to Wolves, who hopefully turns around and turns that into a Chico Conceição or something of that nature. But Pedro Neto to Chelsea, here's the most positive thing I'm going to say about it. When Pedro Neto plays, he is a certified baller.
Exactly.
Absolutely. There's no debating that whatsoever. And he is the first, in my opinion, the first signing that they've made out of 12 so far plus, right? This offseason that dramatically improves their 11, dramatically improves their 18, and that is a big deal. Everybody else, you're right. It's all squad numbers. We're approaching 50 now. Nobody cares. A lot of people are leaving. Lukaku's going to leave. Broha's going to leave.
Chalobah.
A lot of people are going to leave. I get that. Chalobah's going to leave. And I think he should be used because I have the biggest worry about Chelsea's defense.
True.
But bringing it back home, Pedro Neto improves the Chelsea 11 right away. And for that, I have no problems with a transfer. They're overpaying. They're overpaying for the injury history. But if they can keep Pedro Neto healthy, he's a dramatic improvement. He's phenomenal for Chelsea.
The thing with Chelsea for me, the best way to describe Chelsea in the transfer market for me is expect the unexpected. Nobody was talking about Pedro Neto going to Chelsea. I would even say that Pedro Neto more likely would have gone to Arsenal because that left winger, if it's not Martinelli, there's issues right there. And we see Chelsea just get the player that will add a ton of creativity and obviously speed. One-on-one, very hard to stop Pedro Neto. And I have a list here. Thank you, Transfer Market, for giving me these stats. Chelsea have raised 436 million from 42 players formed in the academy. That is mad numbers. Yeah. And you don't see a Conor Gallagher, a Mason Mount, a Levi Colville. Hopefully we will see. Reece James is consistently injured. It's very sad to see that we see so many good players formed in the academy and we don't see that output in the first team. The most valuable 11 currently of Chelsea Academy players, you have in goal Bulka, Maatsen, Colville, Tomori, and Reece James in defense. That is a good defense. Then midfield.
Great.
Declan Rice, Conor Gallagher, Mason Mount, and then the three forwards, Jamal Musiala, Michael Olise, and Solanke, 75 million striker. That's the Chelsea Academy. Mad.
But the crazy part is if you avoid some of those names, like a Declan Rice feels like we're reaching a little bit, even a Musiala, although he definitely was there. But even if you remove those names and you replace them, I mean, it's still absolutely insane. Like Loftus-Cheek, right? There's just so many that you can name off the top of your head that just Cobham produces. And Chelsea can decide whether they want to utilize. There's no doubt that there was more of a Cobham presence when Chelsea won the Champions League.
True.
And now that is being erased. And that is an issue that I have. And unfortunately, Reece James has another hamstring injury and all that stuff. And hopefully it's minor, but that leads to major, I don't know.
Since
but listen,
the departure
Cobham
of Thomas
creates,
Tuchel,
man.
Chelsea has never been the same.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
I know. Yeah.
That's the fact.
And that is an issue that we have as FC Wonder Kid. We do kind of have that. Don't get me wrong. Like, I feel bad for all of these names coming in the door that aren't really going to get their time in the sun. Like an Aaron Anselmino will sign for 20 or whatever it is, and he'll go directly back to Boca Juniors. Strasbourg is going to be like, they're already average age on their squad of 22. Right? They're going to be like an average age of 19 by the end of this once they get all their loanage from Chelsea. I mean, and it's papering over one of the most successful academies, one of the best academies, not just in England, in the world.
Exactly.
And there's so much talent there, and there still is after this. Tyreek George, there's so many players to watch that you just got to think about these kids that are 19 down to 14 right now, going like, well, how the hell do I get into this 11? You don't. You got to go away. So maybe it becomes La Fabrica. Maybe it does, right? And where you sell them off and then you buy them back later. But Todd Boehly has no interest in bringing back past Cobham stars. That's for dang sure.
If he got Jamal Musiala, that'd be a huge statement.
Oh, that's true.
That'd be a huge statement. Yeah. Like, if Todd Boehly next summer says, what, Bayern Munich, you want 150? Here's 150. Yeah. And that's the only signing they do. Because that's possible with the amount of players that they're getting. All these transfer windows, there has to be one window that only one player comes in. Like, come on. Inevitable that happens. But let us know, people. What are you thinking about the transfers with Chelsea? Pedro Neto. And Selmus. So Mike Penders, the goalkeeper. I want to see him play, but it will be very unlikely to see in the Premier League. And you get Philip Jorgensen in the same window. Let us know down below your thoughts. But another team in the Prem went bold. We expected it. We mentioned it in past podcasts. Man United are looking different in this transfer window, in my view. There's structure, there's intent, and De Ligt, Mazraoui, Zirkzee are 3 transfers that I gotta say add value, and I think Man United will be in a better position next season than they were previously. They looked really good in the Community Shield. Ruud van Nistelrooy, very important. You can see his impact already in that bench. I am getting a much better feeling with Man United. They'll be fighting for that top 4 position. I think that.
Garnacho showed me something. That was good to see. He looked like he was taking on a little bit of a leadership role, obviously off the bench. But hey,
the miss.
I think
there was a huge miss. Rashford. Yeah. There was an assist that Garnacho... sorry to interrupt you, Bretson, with that, but going over what you said, Garnacho did an amazing assist. That it was a clear tap-in that Rashford should have scored. He missed. What did Garnacho did afterwards? He did a movement to the left, and he wasn't thinking to pass to anyone, but to shoot. He knew he had to do something, because if it wasn't him, nobody would do. So that was a moment that I got that feeling of mentality. This is a big time player, Alejandro Garnacho. It could be his season.
Yeah. It could be. I hope it is, because obviously the talent is apparent. It's just we want more of the consistency, and he's going to get his time to show that. And it was good to see Amad Diallo get his start. We'll see what that leads to. It doesn't seem like he's going out on loan again, but you know, I don't really know about that. But there was another name out there, Alex. Here's what I like about the De Ligt signing. You need the center back. Center back comes in. That's it, right? And he is one of the best available at the best in that market at that moment in time. That is what you do, not to mention Ten Hag has a history with him. True. It just makes too much sense, okay? But beyond that, I mean, they do need to shore up those flanks. And whether it's Mazraoui, who another Ajax player,
the list is mad
that can do some things. I know, and you know, there's another player out there that I think they really need to step on the gas and get, and that's Ferdi Kadioglu, right? Be because it's not. It would be, and I know Arsenal's tracking him, Brighton's been tracking him, but Ferdi Kadioglu, he covers more than one base because obviously he can play up and down the pike. So I think that needs to come in because I don't think that costs more than 20-25
he can play
in
with
that
4
instance.
at the back and 3 at the back. Yeah. He can do the whole wing, and he's fine to play as a left back with 4. That'd be
you got it.
Signing.
Got it.
Oh,
but De Ligt, you're right. I mean, there's a structure to the signings here that is working. Obviously, the Lenny Oro thing puts a bad taste in everybody's mouth because you spend 60 on an 18-year-old. Everyone crushes you for the fee, but at the same time, they don't go after the fact that you've got one of the best, if not the best, defensive prospect on the planet.
True.
And then, 3-month injury. That really stinks. Hopefully, that's not a recurring issue. Let's all hope pray to the Manchester United gods if there are any, that's not the case. But getting De Ligt right after that, you needed to shore up your defense even more anyway, and that just shows structure. It shows there's a thought process to this all, and it also shows that there's it shows that Ten Hag is aligned with who's making. Whether or not he has to be, but he still has an influence on what's going on, but also he's got the backing.
100%. No, Erik Ten Hag has always had the backing of Man United in terms of transfers, Bretson, because the influence of Ajax now at Man United is mad right now. You have Anthony, Onana, Eriksen, Lisandro Martinez, Donny van de Beek was signed in the past 2, De Ligt now, and Mazraoui now. So these are the amounts of players that currently only Anthony, Onana, Eriksen, Lisandro, and now De Ligt and Mazraoui are at the club. So that is mad to see the amounts of players that worked with Erik Ten Hag and were at Ajax in the past. But De Ligt, I do have worrying signs though, okay? Lenny Oro, immense potential. Injury was unlucky, but De Ligt, I hope to see the De Ligt of Ajax because currently De Ligt doesn't start for the Netherlands. And if Bayern Munich, a top team in Europe, sells a player, it's not looking too good, okay? You're not signing a stud 100%. So I do believe that there should be some concern, but I think it's a good signing because of the past of Erik ten Hag, with Matthijs de Ligt being a new beginning for de Ligt and for Man United too. There's immense potential because he could be the captain at the back of Man United.
And I share those yellow flags with you as well, because you've also got Vincent Kompany, an absolute legend of the game when it comes to legendary center back, probably having to give his go-ahead to send de Ligt off.
Exactly.
And that's not necessarily a great testament to where he's at right now. But if there's anyone out there that is capable of kind of resurrecting him, it would likely be Erik ten Hag. I mean, where he had his best form, where he was able to shape him into a leader. We all remember, I mean, this kid as a 17, 18-year-old was leading Ajax in the UCL semis. I mean, it's really impressive. He can get back there. It was great.
You had really good names in that team. A special team that Ajax fans sure hope that team would be now the recent one right now, which is not the case. But hope, talking about hope, the biggest signing of the transfer window, okay, not La Liga, was now Solanke. I'm mesmerized, honestly. Look, I want to say this the right way, because I rate Dominic Solanke for the last season he had at Bournemouth. 19 goals, 3 assists, great season. But do I think Solanke is a better striker like Sorloth that went to Atleti? Do I think he's better than Artem Dovbyk that went now to Roma? Do I think he's better than a Santiago Jimenez at Feyenoord? I have my doubts. And when you pay 75 million in football, you should have no doubts. His all-time stats in the Prem is 144 games, 29 goals, 13 assists. That is doubtful numbers for a player that cost 75 million. But does Tottenham need a striker? They do. Do they sign a striker that knows the Premier League? They do. Do they sign a striker that has been at Liverpool in the past, that has been at Chelsea in the past, and now has the opportunity to become a legend at Tottenham? They also do. So Solanke touches a lot of good things, but I have to point fingers that 75 million is a bit overpriced for a player that in the Premier League has scored 29 goals, 13 assists in his career. So
all valid criticisms of that transfer. I don't have any issues. The only positive that I will add to the end of that, because you gave us a good concise summary of it all, is at 26 years old, he also has exactly, I believe, what Big Ange is looking for out of a striker. He's more mobile. He's more mobile than Santiago Jimenez. He also doesn't mind the long shots. His finishing has improved. Now, whether or not it's improved consistently, we've only got one real big season out of him in the Premier League. There's no guaranteeing that. But there is no doubt that he will press his butt off for Big Ange. And that is a big part of it. Now, do you pay 75 million for that? That's arguable. But they pounced. They had a target. They stuck with it. You've still got Richarlison in arrears. You've got Timo Werner that can play up there, but he's going to be on the wing potentially. I think if Solanke can form a really good bond with Son, who looks rejuvenated, with Brennan Johnson, with Dejan Kulusevski, who looks great on the wings, with Lucas Bergvall, as you saw, who looks phenomenally comfortable after a year and a half in the Allsvenskan, right? If you can form a good rapport there's no doubt to me that Solanke should score 15 plus again, which would be a great follow-up consistent season. And he's still young enough to have several years. But this is the first time they've attempted to really address Harry Kane, right? And that in and of itself, like, you might miss, but at the same time, I think Solanke will still improve this squad even if you overpaid for them. And let's be honest, Spurs can afford to overpay right now. The bigger question I have is, what does Bournemouth do with all those funds?
Julian
good on them.
They've signed him for 10 million, which is a good deal for Barca and for
They're going to need a striker, though. They're going to need a striker, and I'm trying to figure out like where you're going to go for that, because I'm looking in like the championship.
Literally, I was mentioning to you, it's a player that Chelsea didn't want, Liverpool didn't want Solanke, so Adam Ambrosia, that could be a good find also. No, but listeners, let us know down below in the comments section. That's a good way of being referred to the podcast. If you give a good suggestion for Bournemouth's replacement for Dominic Solanke, and let us know your thoughts about this transfer too, that I find really interesting. Other mentions, I think it's interesting to see De Gea has finally signed for a club with Fiorentina. I'm really happy to see such a legend of the game now back. It's I missed you, De Gea, and I'm gonna be watching Fiorentina a lot because of you. And West Ham, another one bites the dust, Breton, because West Ham ain't stopping. West Ham fans believe in Champions League. I believe it's very bold. If you get Europa League, that's a huge success in my eyes. In signing a Todibo, a Fulcook, a Somerville, a Guido Fernandez for free, the list goes on and on. With Saka has been confirmed, that right inside with Bowen. I am hopeful for what we're going to see with West Ham. They are going bold.
Well, Todibo is the first one that I look at and I say, absolutely. Absolutely. No. Well done. Fulkrug, too. I just think they overpaid for a 31-year-old. But he's going to score goals for them. I have no problem with that. Absolutely. But I think like Todibo is one. And yes, he's on loan, but 24 years old, obviously was part of one of the best Ligue 1 defenses last season, even if they did trail off at the end under Francesco Farioli.
It's loan with mandatory signing. Yeah. So it's.
Oh, is it? Okay, that's great. What was the price thrown on it?
I think I don't know the price. I'll be honest with the people, but I think it'd be in the range
Put it in the
of 30
comments
to
section.
45 million too. But I mean, let us know.
Well, there you go. But for 24 years old, I mean, we've seen what he can do, and I think he's going to be a welcome addition to the Premier League, and it's something I think West Ham has been waiting for, which is kind of a refresh of that center back partnership long term. So that's like the first one where I'm like, okay, West Ham, let's go. The other ones are great. Crescencio Somerville, I want to work out so bad. I want him to work out so bad because I love the route that he took to get here. Hell, if Somerville works, they can go back for Jorginho Rutter next at Leeds United, or Willie Nyanto, who apparently gets no love anymore. But yes, Jared Bowen, Somerville, there's good things brewing at West Ham, but Todibo is what has caused this whole transfer window for me for West Ham to be turned into a positive than kind of just oh, wow, they signed some people.
Oh my days, Breton. I disagree, but I understand where you're coming from with it. And the other transfer I really wanted to mention in the transfer section, it's Fabio Carvalho for Brentford. Good deal. Well, a bit worrying if I'm a Liverpool fan that I only see people leaving and no one coming in still, okay?
True.
Fabio Carvalho leaving for 20 million is very positive, but he did a good preseason. I was expecting maybe being a depth player, but CDM has to be the focus. Liverpool fans, if you're dreaming of being title winners in the Premier League, that it's a possibility now with Man City a bit weaker. Arsenal still with no number 9. Liverpool signing a CDM would make it much more possible, like Zubimendi or Alan Varela. But Zubimendi would be very good with McAllister and Szoboszlai in front of him. And Gakpo can play if Szoboszlai's not there. So many options and so much quality. So that's a great mention. But I wanted to say about Dani Olmo. He's confirmed, Breton. Dani Olmo to Martha. It happened. And look, I believe Nico will not happen, unfortunately. But Dani Olmo's already a good start. Add a lot. So I wanted to mention that.
Yeah, and I forgot to say it in the opening, but the fact that Barcelona had their fingerprint 7 out of the starting 11 in the Olympic gold final. 7 out of the starting 11 were Barca based, were previously La Masia. I mean, it's really impressive stuff. So I get going back into the well to sign Dani Olmo, but is it truly what they need? I mean, you're paying a Euro tax. You're paying a Euro tax because Dani Olmo had been impressive for RB Leipzig when he played. It's very Pedro Neto-esque in the sense that he has dealt with injuries very long term with at RB Leipzig. Now, whether or not Barcelona has their success with injuries, they don't. I don't know what we're supposed to kind of do with this. And that's the thing, is if he's healthy, I like it too. Absolutely. And I hope he stays healthy. I hope it works out, because there's no doubting that he was an absolute baller. But in the end, I think RB Leipzig makes out best in this situation, because they're selling somebody that unfortunately didn't have that impact for them consistently. Consistently, I add. That's it.
He was
right?
Scored a goal in the final of the DFB Pokal, I think.
I know, but their pursuit of the expectation that they had for him to fight for top 3, top 2 in the Bundesliga every season, fight for Champions League ball every season, it didn't work out with them, and that's why Xavi Simons is there. I would have liked to see Xavi Simons, but Dani Olmo leaving allows them to bring in Bilal El Khanous. I'm excited for that. I hope that gets over the line. We'll see if it does. But Dani Olmo, that's really the only thing that I can say kind of in negativity is that yeah, I mean, he gets injured a lot, people, and get ready for that.
That's Pedri gets injured a lot, unfortunately, too. So it's
I know. Gavi's not back till November.
Exactly. As long as they don't get injured at the same time, I think that's what Barca fans surely hope. No, they hope they don't get injured, but not at the same time for sure. That would be a mega inconvenience.
Listen, 3 seasons with Leipzig.
Yes.
He missed almost 70 games.
How many goals
3
scored?
seasons.
Can you check that? And assists?
Oh,
because that's where that's something that I think for Leipzig that he was pretty important. And development of Dinamo Zagreb as a club, going from Barca to Dinamo Zagreb, it was a risk for Zagreb, but it went very, very well. I love Dani Olmo to Barca because he can play winger, he can play midfield, he can play where is needed, and that's what we saw for Spain too. When Pedri went out, Dani Olmo, he fulfilled the needs of the team at that time. Just like we saw with Zubimendi replacing Rodri. He did the same. So, Dani Olmo, if he's going against the Galacticos, that's a good transfer in my opinion.
63 goal involvements in 148 appearances for RB Leipzig.
That's good.
Previous to that, he had 62 in 124 appearances for Dinamo Zagreb, where he got his start. Obviously, if you get 60 plus goal involvements, and that's with missing a lot of time. It is with missing a lot of time. So I hope that doesn't happen for Barca's sake, because Barca has enough as it is dealing with their injuries. But Dani Olmo is it's just, if you would rather have Dani Olmo or Nico?
I think you can get both.
I hope they exhaust. But I hope they exhausted all ability in this transfer window to get Nico before they landed Dani Olmo, because I agree. I think they paid their Euro tax on Dani Olmo. But
well said. I understand where you're coming from. And now people are seeing news that Frankie de Jong, Barca wants out. Of course, when this man is earning more than 35 million a year, that is something that is definitely not sustainable for a club like Barca that sees Mbappe 30 million a year. Not the same. And we all know Mbappe will be the best player in La Liga, most possibly. It all looks like that. But let us know down below, what transfers, what have you missed? What do you want us to talk about? And big clubs, we're going to be listening to you guys in the comment section. Go bold. We assure that we will be referring. And if it's a good comment, for sure, we will be talking about that transfer in the next podcast. Thank you for your support, people. Now, you said it. You hinted it, Bretson. This podcast will be with a lot of predictions, and we thought, since we're going to do La Liga, subscribe to our channel here at FC Wonderkid, because La Liga will be posted during the week, La Liga predictions, but because you guys gave us so much love in the Liga Portugal and Eredivisie video, we thought we got to talk about all the top leagues. So, Bundesliga, Serie A, and League One predictions. And I think we should start with the one that has the new winner. After 12 seasons in a row with Bayern Munich winning, it's now a doubt of who's going to win the Bundesliga next season. And why is that? Because Xabi Alonso exists. And even I'm going to go bold and say Sain with Dortmund. I think it's going to go very well. It's a bold statement, but I like the fit. I think he's going to be a good manager. So, Vincent, what are you thinking?
We're going to find out close enough. So here's what I've got so far. I still think RB Leipzig is going to make some signings in the very near future.
Okay.
But for me, my top 4 is RB Leipzig in 4th. Actually, I've got a top 5. I think coming back into the 5th position is going to be Eintracht Frankfurt. Okay, we remember them from a couple seasons ago. Then they got beat up in the transfers. Everyone wanted their players, and they had a really tough season last year. Stuttgart took their place. Yep. Stuttgart took their place, and then they just got raided in the offseason. Mainly 2 of them going to Dortmund.
Exactly.
And I think those signings are huge. I think those signings, while Dortmund has gotten away from signing all the wonder kids we love and all that good stuff, they've also gotten away from promoting from within. They don't have as much faith in their academy, which kind of stinks. But I still think they're making the right signings to be good right now, even if I don't agree with it long term. So I've got 5th, Eintracht Frankfurt will get back into the Bundesliga picture. Hugo Ekitike for 16 million because he hasn't really popped off yet for Frankfurt. I think he will pop off this season. They also brought in a lot of youngsters. Kanuzan from the second Bundesliga had 19 goals for Nuremberg last year. Christian Licht, who is one of the better Hungarian prospects out there, and they even signed a Højlund brother. I mean, you got to like it, right? Oscar Højlund, the midfielder, joins Frankfurt. I'm going to say they're going to also join the top 5, 5th place. 4th place for me is going to be RB Leipzig until they make some signings. Xavi Simons is a phenomenal signing. He was amazing last season for them, but he needs more weapons. I also think Benjamin Sesko will be up there in Golden Boot conversation. Not quite Harry Kane volume, but we're talking like fighting for 2nd or 3rd. But I think Openda and Sesko, there is room for both of them to score 20-plus goals this year.
It's going to be amazing. No lie. And if they do so, they must get top 3, though, Breton, in the Bundesliga.
I agree, which is why I'm a little bit skeptical of it unless they sign a Bilal El-Khanous or they sign somebody else that is going to be a conductor for them, or they give the reins to Baumgartner, which they have not done yet. They have not done yet. And when he has been given the opportunity, I will not mince words here. He has not grasped that opportunity just yet for Leipzig.
And we're mentioning Bilal El-Khanous to replace Dani Olmo, but the one that's more likely to replace Dani Olmo, to be fair, is Oscar Glauc. And Oscar Glauc is going bold for our RB Salzburg right now. So great offensive
Pep Linders would be so sad if not even a month into his first time, first managerial position in a bigger league. That would stink to lose your big playmaker next to that. But you're absolutely right. If it's not Bilal El-Khanous, it could very well be Oscar Glauc, who has been bold for Salzburg. But I've got them right now, Leipzig 4th place, although I think it's going to be close. I think the top 4, it's not going to be Serie A close, which we'll talk about, but it is going to be close this season because there's a couple things I think are going to happen. I think Leverkusen's team, all the little fortunate breaks, they add up. Right? The little fortunate breaks they got, the last gasp goals, the players staying healthy for the most part, except for Boniface. There are some players that definitely overplayed their hand and might come back. But they also have to fend off clubs that really want their players. They've done really well at doing so just yet. So that's why I think it's going to be closer. They're not going to run away with it. But I think the top 3, it's going to be 3rd place Dortmund, 2nd place Leverkusen. I think Bayern, even with Vincent Kompany, who I think will be a decent enough manager, right? Playing that crazy Burnley style of play where it's crazy. I just think you're looking at João Paulinho, you're looking at Michael Olise if he can stay healthy.
True.
You're looking at a really good 11. A really good starting 11, decent youngsters beneath that gives great cover. Pavlovic, who actually will be a starter this season. But what I'm looking at is the Bayern has nothing to lose. They've already lost the perch.
Bayern has everything to lose. Their reputation.
They've already lost the perch. Well, they've already lost the 11, the stranglehold of the reputation. As conquerors, they are now the ability. It's Leverkusen that has the target on their back. And that target has never been bigger in Bayer Leverkusen's club history.
First
so
time
I'm just saying,
winners. It's true.
Absolutely. So where I'm going with this is Bayern as the aggressors, right? is going to work out in their favor this season. I think they win it by like 2 points, 1 point when all is said. And here's what I'm throwing that all in the back of: vibes. There's no real reason to say that except the fact that Leverkusen will fall back a little bit and Bayern will pip them in the end.
Bretson,
there you go.
Your prediction in the Bundesliga, you're saying that Harry Kane is going to win a trophy.
Yes. Yeah. He will. He's going to win a trophy this season.
That will be the case again. I'm going to go bold and say I put 4th RB Leipzig, 3rd Borussia Dortmund, 2nd Bayern Munich with Vincent Kompany, Olise, Palhinha, great team, but first, an historical manager in the Bundesliga. He's going to cement himself like that. Xabi Alonso's Bayer Leverkusen. And don't get me wrong, I think if Bayer Leverkusen finish 2nd, it's another successful season. But I'm very hopeful for this team that you said it. Bayer Leverkusen's main stars have all stayed. Why? Because they know what they're seeing with Xabi Alonso is revolutionary type football. This is a genius manager. A manager that's worked with Mourinho, Ancelotti, Guardiola. He's worked with the best. And he's now considered the best. I think he's the replacement of Carlo Ancelotti, even if he finishes 2nd with Bayer Leverkusen. But because I think we're going to watch greatness with Leverkusen another season, I'm going to be backing Bayer Leverkusen, another one bites the dust. Alex Garcia, I love that transfer. And another bold statement is Harry Kane, he's going to go bold 100% for Bayern Munich with Kompany in the Champions League, in the Bundesliga, 100%. But Boniface, no injuries. Victor Boniface could be the top goal scorer in the Bundesliga. I'm going to go bold and believe that can happen. With Florian Wirtz behind you, everything is possible. And Florian Wirtz, no injuries. Best player in the Bundesliga last season, not Harry Kane. And if there's no injuries, I'm very hopeful that we will see a Bayer Leverkusen first once again. Frimpong has stayed. Xhaka has stayed. Hincapié is going to stay.
That's crazy.
Kosunu is going to stay. The retention of Bayer Leverkusen is 100% because the players know we are witnessing history with Xabi Alonso. And that's why I'm going to go bold. And when this archive one day will look back in 2024, 2025 season, we will remember that I'm backing Xabi Alonso once again. Because right now, it's the bookies are saying Bayern Munich, which understandable. Yeah. Olise, come on.
It is understandable. I mean, you still look at the person and retention. While it's great, it doesn't always work out. It doesn't mean like you're going to get the exact same fortunate circumstances that you got. And don't get me wrong, Leverkusen did have their fair share of adversity last season with Boniface getting, injured, and you had Patrick Schick that had to step things up. You had a lot of their role players, as we mentioned, a lot of their role players like Jonas Hoffman, Nathan Tella, even at times, playing big roles, and they've even retained a lot of them, which is kind of insane to think about. But also, I feel like there needs to be a structured kind of bloodletting in order to take advantage of what was an insane season. There's no doubt that every other team that overperformed the crap out of their expectations last season, almost everybody has been gutted. Girona, gutted. Bologna, gutted. Stuttgart, gutted, basically. And in fact, it was Dortmund doing the gutting, right? So it's really interesting. Yes, Xabi Alonso carries a lot of weight in this scenario. The infrastructure put in place by Simon Rolfs, it carries a lot of weight in this scenario for sure. And it feels like, I want to bring it back to what you said. If they get second, that is still an amazing follow-up.
With Champions
League.
Right?
And I don't think this is going to be a Napoli type of situation at all, right? Where you win the league and then you have the worst title defense potentially in Serie A history.
It was the worst.
I think
it was the worst.
I think Leverkusen is still obviously going to be amazing, but they're going to have Champions League to deal with. But they've addressed the roster concerns in terms of having more depth. It looks great on paper. What's going to happen when they know they've got targets on their back?
I really want to be
long
a fly
term
in Leverkusen, mate.
New territory.
The training sessions of Xabi Alonso. It's insane. And I didn't even say the name Grimaldo. That Grimaldo became the best left wing back in football last season with Xabi Alonso. So I'm very hopeful of what's going to happen. And the last question on Bundesliga front, I want to ask you, Breton, and obviously Dennis Zundav, good transfer for Stuttgart too to get. if Bayern Munich finish second with Vincent Kompany, does he get sacked at the end of the season?
I mean, it's.
I think so.
Oh,
you got Harry Kane.
Yeah,
you got
I
Kompany, you got Michael Olise. You got the best squad in the Bundesliga.
It's one of the riskiest announcements. It's one of the riskiest hires that they've ever made.
True.
Based on not really trusting a C. I mean, you're trusting more of a CV as a player than you are trusting it as a
Bayern's trusting their structure.
As a coach.
Their structure as a club, saying we only need you for tactical reasons. But signing structure, Paulinho, we did it in the past already. So do you think? I think Kompany, it will definitely not look good for him at the end of the season if he's in second place, and that's a big reasoning for me understanding what you say with Bayern Munich. I agree.
Now, really quickly before we move on from the Bundesliga, because I do agree with all that you said, but Dortmund too, I think is going to be closer than people expect. I think Nuri Sahin, believe it or not, is further along as a manager than Vincent Kompany is, although I still think Bayern's going to win just based on their roster. It's insane. It's really weird circular thinking on my part, so I'm already regretting it, kind of. But listen, Dortmund to me, while I don't like what they're doing to the academy, Paris Brunner's probably leaving for Monaco for cheap. Tom Roth, who I thought was going to be like their left back of the future. Nope, he's gone to Union Berlin for 5. Gio Reyna, who the heck knows what's happening with him? It sounds like he's staying, but at the same time, I think there's also problems that lie in him, beyond just what the club's doing with him. Julian Duranville, I hope, is going to get his time this season. I hope Bino Gittins stays healthy because he's a hell of a prospect. But listen, other names, Sumaila Koulibaly, Namdi Collins, Hendry Blank, they've all left the academy or are about to leave the academy. And that kind of stinks because Dortmund has one of the better Bundesliga academies, one of the better academies in the world. Julian Reichhoff came and then left, and now he probably is going to get his time at Ajax. But that doesn't change the fact that they haven't made some very intriguing signings in the offseason that should put them close to the top 2 in the Bundesliga. Waldemar Anton, I probably screwed up his first name, and Seru Guirassy for 40 million. Phenomenal business. They've gutted Stuttgart, which stinks. But bringing in Jan Couto as well, one of the better dribblers in La Liga, one of the more exciting fullbacks, one of the bigger reasons, even though it bubbled under the surface for Girona, to do what they did in La Liga last season. And if they get Maxi Bayer, right? The young striker that's been phenomenal for Hoffenheim and has actually worked his way into the German national team selection. You've got a team that should be really competitive right now, even if they are getting rid of all the wonder kids we want to see get chances. But Dortmund, I think you should not sleep on Dortmund right now. I think by the end of the season, we will see Nuri Sahin, maybe not in rarefied air of Xabi Alonso right now, but we will see Nuri Sahin as one of the better young coaches on the planet at the end of the season.
Completely agree. If we were to compare with a Lampard, a Stevie G, completely. And even a Vincent Kompany at the end of the season, there's going to be answers that we're going to see, and it's fantastic. And now a bit shorter, I believe, Ligue 1, because let's be honest, the team that keeps on winning, we believe, will do just that. At least I believe. So my top 3. Top 3 with Ligue 1, because I have doubts from the 4th to the 7th place. I think it's going to be a lot closer than people believe. But my top 3, I put 3rd, Lille. 2nd, AS Monaco. Once again, I'm loving their transfers. And 1st place in Liga, the team that just signed João Neves, that got William Pacho. It's PSG. I think they're going to be retaining. No surprise. Paris Saint-Germain are the winners of Liga in my predictions. Do you agree?
I do agree with you, although I think there's one major kind of central idea to this new season, and that is that PSG no longer has Kylian Mbappe, right?
True.
And that is new territory for the time being. In fact, Ligue 1 no longer has Kylian Mbappe. So it's going to be whether or not PSG can build a team around them. But João Neves, come on. I mean, William Pacho, I think, is one of the more exciting center backs. Even if he's not the cleanest center back, even if he's still relatively raw, he's fast. He's strong. He is aggressive. Like, PSG fans are going to love him. He's
22?
recently... remained healthy.
Mm-hmm.
He is the second most expensive Ecuadorian signing, obviously behind a certain Moises Caicedo. But I like the signings that they got, but it doesn't change the fact that this is PSG sans Mbappe. Do I still think they're going to win? Yes. But my 2 and 3 are not very different than yours. My 3 is Marseille. Marseille.
Oh, yes,
I know we don't.
It's true.
Yeah, we've got De Zerbi there, but I really like the loan business they've been doing. They brought in Valentin Carboni from Inter.
Good one.
Really great young midfielder. Højbjerg from Spurs.
Moukoko?
And listen, okay, yeah, Moukoko, not yet, but Lilian Brassier. I forget if he's from Brest. He's from Brest. One of the better young center backs or younger center backs in Ligue 1. Marseille could be second. They also brought in Mason Greenwood, who from Getafe, from Manchester United for 25 million. Obviously, he's going to do really well in Ligue 1. He really is. So it's intriguing the signings they're doing, but the funny thing is like De Zerbi left because like he wasn't feeling like he was going to get his actual targets at Brighton, and yet Brighton goes and spends like 100 million. Like there you go. So I'm not sure what's going on there, but I think Marseille will go in third, and then I think AS Monaco, like you said, will be second. Elena Kenna is young, so you got to give him some time. 17 years old, but great signing for that price. Lamine Camara from Metz, everybody wanted him. Great that they got him. If they get Paris Brunner, but the name I want you to remember from AS Monaco is not a signing. It's an academy player, 18-year-old playmaker. I think he's going to get his time this season, and that's Simon Bouabre, who is in their really good. People forget Monaco academy, phenomenal.
Henry,
So,
Mbappe, Anelka. And we know Clairefontaine has a big responsibility too, but Monaco also.
Absolutely. But you're right. PSG, until proven otherwise, I mean, they're
Safonov, good keeper. If Donnarumma is injured, Safonov is a keeper that many top teams in Europe try to sign, and he was convinced by the project at Paris Saint-Germain. And we've said it in previous podcasts. Ronevs, Warren Zaire-Emery, Vitinha is a Champions League high-caliber midfield. This is a team that can win the Champions League one day with a manager that has won it in the past with a great team of Barca. True, but he's got intentions to win again. Luis Enrique. He's the best manager in Liga by far, even with the Zerbi at Marseille. Luis Enrique.
Yep.
I love it.
João Neves in Ligue 1 with Vitinha.
I'm going to be watching.
Zaire Emery.
Now it's Sport TV in Portugal. They're back. So
I want to see a little South Korean. I want to see Kang and Lee do some good things. We haven't seen him pop off yet for PSG.
They refused 40 million for Kang In Lee from Atletico, I think. So that would have been a very interesting signing, and they clearly have big intentions for him in the future.
Yeah.
Let us know until now if you're listening to the predictions, your Bundesliga predictions, and your Ligue 1 predictions. Did you go bold?
Yeah.
Because we didn't quite go bold on this one, but inevitable to go bold. Serie A is the most difficult title race for me to predict in the top 5 European leagues. It's easier to predict that Man City are going to win the Premier League for sure. And something that backs what I'm saying is, in the last 5 years, we've had 4 different champions. And I remember a time that Juve won 9 trophies in a row. Yes, it wasn't 12 like Bayern Munich, but 9 is insane in Calcio. Juve era, that was so bold, and someone that was successful in the Juve era, like Conte, is now at Napoli. So it makes it mega exciting to watch Calcio. The ratings are going to go definitely up. Calcio, I think, will be the 3rd most watched league in the world with how things are. First, Premier, obviously. Second, La Liga, very close to Premier now. And third, I think Serie A is coming back to be one of the top leagues in world football. Definitely.
Well, I know in America they're doing it really, really well here with the Serie A football coverage, Calcio coverage. So Paramount deserves some love for what they're doing over here for Serie A. But I agree with you; it is going to be an absolute dogfight in Serie A, and I am looking forward. While I don't have them too high, although I've seen some people have them a lot higher. I am looking forward to seeing what Napoli can do under Antonio Conte. I mean, it's going to be hellfire. It's going to be not exactly the most positive setting, but I feel like Napoli needs that after last season's.
Right?
dismal title defense, potentially, yes. But as of right now, Victor Osimhen is still there. I don't know why Chelsea is even throwing the money that they're throwing when they could just throw Lukaku and 60 million or 50 million their direction and get Osimhen, probably more than that. But still, I have Napoli creeping at least back into the top 5. I do like the shrewd moves that they've done so far to restructure their defense. Spinazzola, Alessandro Buongiorno, who actually made his way into the Azzurri conversation in the Euros. And then I also like the addition of, people don't really know his name yet, but La Fabrica made him, Rafa Marin, who was on loan at Alaves from Real Madrid last season. I think he will be great cover, but Buongiorno is the one you want to look at there. Still have Kvaratskhelia and Osimhen just yet, but I also think Antonio Conte will make sure that this is not another, another circus show. It's not going to be a circus show this season. They'll finish top 5. They won't be in the hunt, in my opinion. No.
I have Napoli in 4th place in my predictions. I think Antonio Conte is a great signing as a manager that, honestly, Napoli could shut me up right now and win the Serie A because of Antonio Conte, okay? I believe that Antonio Conte is a manager with very high demands. He cannot see himself not winning. That's why it worked out at Chelsea and it didn't work out at Tottenham. That's my doubt. With De Laurentiis given the tools to actually win Serie A once again with a Lukaku, Kvaratskhelia staying, more midfield depth. I think they're one big midfielder away of actually, for me, guaranteeing a top 3. So Antonio Conte couldn't go bold. I wanted to make that a statement, but I've got Napoli in 4th. I got 3rd place, AC Milan. Saddens me, but I think Paul Fonseca is going to do a great job, and he's going to trust Liberaldi and Francesco Camarda. In 2nd, I've got the winners, Inter Milan, and 1st, yes, the Thiago Motta effect is real in my opinion. I have got Juventus with sporting director Cristiano Giantoli getting the right players for the right style of play, that is Thiago Motta's, with Kefrin Turam, Douglas Luiz, all Vlahovic, Kenan Yildiz, all looking studs. I think we're going to see a big season of Juve, and Danilo being the leader that he is mentally, okay? If you don't know this side of Danilo, he's a great center back and was once a right back, but he's a leader mentally, always in the locker room conversations, and very important for that motivation. So I've got the Thiago Motta Juve winning the Serie A.
Wow. Well, I'll be honest. I've got the more boring. I did not go bold when it comes to this. I do agree, though, that the trio, the top 3, are going to be close. I think it's going to be extra close. Somebody that's maybe on the outside looking in, that hasn't yet been mentioned is AS Roma. Because Daniel De Rossi is getting the backing that I think Jose Mourinho would have liked. Because oh my gosh, like Artem Dovbyk,
it's just different.
Enzo Lefebvre,
Dybala,
but this is 80 million plus. 80 million. Yeah, Dybala was plus. He's still there, but they're. I have yet to see. I gotta see whether or not Dovbyk in Serie A actually expect him to cook, but you just don't know yet, right? He was great. He was great in the Ukrainian Premier Division. Now we just need to see, and he was great winning the Pichichi in La Liga. Can he do it again in Serie A? Absolutely could. I think Enzo Lefebvre is great value, and Matthijs Sule was great for Frosinone. Can he do it for a top 5 team? So I have AS Roma in 4th for me, on the outside looking in, but still relatively close. 3rd place, I have AC Milan as well. But listen, they've looked good in preseason. That means nothing, but they've beaten Manchester City, they've beaten Barcelona, they've beaten Real Madrid. It means nothing.
Football, Bretson. Paul Fonseca is putting his style of play showing in a quick
absolutely, and he's come out and he said that the Rossoneri's goal, my goal, is to win the Scudetto, not 100%. Next year, not the year after that. It is to win this year. And all I can say to that is, well, you need more signings if that's going to be the case.
Imagine if Rafael Leão becomes the player that can score 25 to 30 Serie A goals in a season. It's very bold with the amount of good defenses we have in Serie A. But if Rafael Leão goes to this level and becomes a left winger that we debate with Vinicius, with Mbappe, that can happen. Scudetto is definitely something that can hapen.
But here's the thing, like we all know, when they won the Scudetto, who was unstoppable? It was Rafa Leão.
Exactly.
So it's not he is the key there. If he becomes his unstoppable self for more than just half a season, I mean, we're now talking in upper echelon territory. Like this is just it. AC Milan is the team to beat if Christian Pulisic stays healthy again. If Samuel Chukwueze continues to step up, which I think he will under Paulo Fonseca. If Liberali gets a bigger role, Strahinja Pavlovic, I think people are going to like his depth at center back, a big body coming over from Salzburg for 18 mil, and Morata, I think is going to be a big signing. But when you compare it to what Inter's done and what Juve's done, it doesn't yet compare. So also, small little shout out, end of an era. Daniele Maldini leaves the club. He goes to Monza, where he actually was able to do some things last season. So son of Paolo, grandson of Cesare, right? Cesare leaves Milan permanently, heads to Monza, kind of in an end of an era type of situation. But second place for me, Alex. Second place for me, Alex, is Juve. Okay, getting Michel Di Gregorio, massive signing. He was, for me, the best goalkeeper in Serie A last season.
The best goalkeeper.
And nominated. But for me, he was the best. Based on what he did for Monza, who he did it for, I thought he was absolutely phenomenal. But I'm a little worried about that midfield restructuring and how it's going to work out. Long term, I think it's going to be great.
Oh, Bretton.
Short term, we'll see.
That Douglas Luiz, Kefri Thuram. I told you Thuram's going to be insane with the Tech Moto.
I'm ready. I'm ready for it. I'm ready to see it. He was obviously a big part of the structure they had at Nice for Ferrioli. But the other thing you got to worry about is like Juve couldn't really get the center back targets they wanted over the line. You had a slam dunk in getting Riccardo Calafiori to follow Thiago Motta, and they couldn't get it over the line. And on top of that, they're unloading all of their high-profile young talents. Not all. They still have Moretti. They still got some really good young players. But they got rid of Mattias Sule. They got rid of Don Huizen off to Bournemouth. They've got rid of Enzo Baranechea and Samuel Eiling. Coney de Winter, who would have been good cover because he was great for Genoa last season.
Yes.
All gone. They're all gone. But they still have a phenomenal 11. It's just when you compare it, Alex, to bringing in Josep Martinez as your backup goalkeeper, bringing in David Fratese from relegated Sassuolo, bringing in Carlos Augusto from Monza, Zielinski from Napoli, Taremi from Porto as striker cover.
He's a great buy. Fratese was already there, but like Zielinski and Taremi as free agents are bargains completely.
It's true.
I cannot disagree with that.
And I don't think they're done yet. I think they'll add another piece or two. So until otherwise proven,
they might lose a piece or two too, Breton. I see Denzel Dumfries to Man United, maybe.
That's true.
They lost Hakimi in the past too, but that's the thing. Yeah, I agree. I put Juve first though, and Inter second, but I do agree in terms of recruitment policy. Inter have been outstanding in these past few years with the amount of shrewd deals they've had. Lautaro Martinez cost what? 12 million? 6 million? Was definitely a bargain. Definitely a bargain.
That's true.
And he's now a club legend. He's never left.
One name that I hate not throwing into the top 5 here is a name that, come on, they shocked everyone. They won the Europa League last season. Gasparini has worked his absolute magic. But I have Atalanta on the outside looking in. They have Champions League duties, which is insane. Absolutely amazing for La Dea. Absolutely amazing. They've done wonders to bring back in Charles de Ketelaere. Scamacca is recovering from a long-term injury. They brought in Matteo Retegui. You've got Giorgio Scalvini recovering from long-term injury. They brought in a versatile Ben Godfrey, who we love from Everton. I don't know how he's going to pan out in Serie A, but it's Gasparini, so my guess, by the end of the season, Ben Godfrey will probably be world-class. They brought in Zaniolo. They brought in, they still have Ademola Lookman. The big issue for them and the big hole for them, for Atalanta, is they're about to lose Coop Miners. And if Coop Miners goes to Juve, as might be expected, I am flip-flopping my Juve to Scudetto winners. But if they don't sign Toon Coop Miners, or Inter comes in and pips it, then I don't know. But Atalanta, what a historic season for them coming up. I hope that Gasparini once again proves us all wrong. Old guy learning new tricks is always a wonderful thing, and I love his little reclamation projects that he gets done in Serie A.
And he extends at Atalanta, and deservingly. The only manager to beat Bayer Leverkusen last season. This is why I say the Serie A is the most entertaining league to watch, not named Premier League, okay? The Serie A is mega entertaining because Roma has now mega signings with Dominic Solanke. Atalanta Europa League winners. AC Milan, a new style of play with Paul Fonseca that looks really good. Napoli now with Conte. Juve now with Thiago Motta. Inter Milan, one of the best teams in Europe. Come on, you have all the reasons to watch this league that is going to be mega entertaining, people, okay? If you're listening until now, hopefully you've already commented your predictions. Let's put a like goal of 150 likes. We put 100 in the last one, and you guys surpassed it. Please, go bold once again. Whoa. Thank you. Okay, I hope you clicked on that like. And thank you so much, people, for listening to another podcast. Put your predictions down below, and we will go bold and answer them. And thank you for going bold with us. Another episode here at FC Wonderkid, people.